Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Friday, y'all. It is Friday, and we have a special episode of Girl Listening taking place today. So, we normally do this every other Friday. This time we're doing something special. Is it not a day? No, we have a leap day. Yeah, this is leap year. So why not do something special? Why not do a special episode? And this one is going to focus on a particular photographer who has a special gift. And personally, I am touched by his art. So let me go ahead, play a little theme music, and then we will get into it. Okay. Good afternoon. I am your host, Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. Welcome to Girl Listen. I'm going to tell you, it's Friday. It's been a great day thus far. It just so happens to be my work husband's birthday, Ron Foster. Today's his birthday. He is celebrating the big 6-0. I know. We look very young, don't we? Well, we are young at heart, and truly age is just a number, so I don't want to go down that path just yet, but he is celebrating his 60th birthday, so we're so excited that he was blessed to see another year. We've got Danny in the building. Hey! Danny's in the building. My mother is here as well. What? Mother, you're slipping. How you let Danny get in here before you, Mama? I don't understand. That's being your spot. That has been your thing, and you've been doing it very well. I don't know if you were sleeping, taking a nap or something, but we're still happy to have you here regardless. So we are going to we'll be bringing on our guests fairly soon, just so that you guys can get an idea as to the art that he creates. And I was having this conversation with some fellow friends earlier this week about being confident in who you are and feeling secure in sharing your platform with other artists or business leaders, other leaders. I don't have a problem sharing the stage with other people. I actually truly do enjoy sharing the message of others with my community, with people that I know. We all have gifts. Every single one of us has a gift. And there is more than enough room out here for all of us to do what we do and be celebrated. But I thought about it because my husband was asking me, why are there not more people, more photographers specifically, that share office spaces? Because you see it quite often with doctors, you see it with a few other industries, hairstylists, barbers. They don't mind sharing an office space. They don't mind sharing a space. Everybody still gets paid. Everybody still gets customers. But for whatever reason, when it comes to the creative arts, and I'm only speaking about photographers, sharing a photography studio with another photographer is just not, it's not as seen. Now, you will see photographers rent out their space. So we're not saying to just rent out the space. What we're talking about is going into a business deal with another creative to share the space. And you don't see it as often. You see a lot of photographers who get their own studio and rent it out. I mean, it is what it is. But I thought to myself, perhaps there are some people who are just not as comfortable or not as secure in their space, which is why they don't share an office space or a studio. I'm not really sure. We're going to figure it out, though. We're going to figure it out. Before we go forward, we have Chris Edwards in the building. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. How are you? And I guess I'll get this started. Hold on. Let me get myself together, because sometimes you know how Virgos be. Sometimes we're into things. And hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, before I introduce you to our audience, I want to do something fun. Are you up for something fun? Is that a yes? Okay. He's like, if you say so. I want to make sure I have your permission.
Yeah,
so I'm going to do what is called a fast five.
Uh-oh.
All right. All I need is your answer. Okay. I'm going to give you some simple stuff to start it off, and then they may get a little difficult. All right.
Oh, okay.
First one, Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Oh, okay. Dining in or dining out?
In.
All right. We're going to get controversial. Grits with salt or grits with sugar?
Salt.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, because my husband is a sugar on the grits kind of guy, and I'm surprised that we've been married this long.
That's so wrong.
In all the ways, right? In all the ways. Yeah. Okay. We're doing really good here. We're doing really good.
Okay.
This may be the tale. Houston or Dallas?
Dallas. Houston. You know I'm from Dallas, although I do know you have the misfortune of being from Houston.
You know what? Okay, wait a minute. Almost lost. I had to catch myself real quick. But what we not gonna do is come on this show and talk bad about H-Town. Like, we're not gonna do that today.
What can I say?
All right. I'll give you Dallas. I understand. You have to rep the home team. Okay, here's our last one. Selfie or self-portrait?
Self-portrait.
Would you explain why you feel that way, sir?
A selfie is like a throwaway. A self-portrait is like, I put effort into this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear you. So should I assume that there aren't a lot of selfies in your cell phone?
They're not of me, but I have lots of selfies in my cell phone, but they're just not of me.
I have to tell the crowd, I'm gonna go to the comments real quick. I have to tell the crowd that when I do my podcast, I ask my guests for a thumbnail. Okay. And typically most of my guests understand that this thumbnail is going to be shared on Rep. Now, Rep is a photographer, people. I want you to understand that. And so somebody decided to send me a 33 megabyte image.
That was compressed.
And I said to myself, I know who I'm dealing with here, and I love it. I love it every single day. And I was like, okay, I can get down with that. I can get down with it.
Listen, that was a compressed image. What can I say? Like, it started out as 258 megabytes.
What?
Yeah.
Let me leave that one. Let me leave that one right there.
Okay.
Make sure I say hello to our community. Chris does say he's doing well. Thank you for chiming in and being here this evening. It's always great to have you in the crowd. My accountability partners here. Happy Friday, Gary Jackson Jr. Happy Friday. First off, what is that? How else do you eat grits? Sugar? What? Blasphemy. Are you
banned from the chat? Banned from the chat.
don't know if we can still be in a relationship. Like, I don't understand. How do we get along this? I don't, what? Oh my God. What? Oh, I know. I'm Gary, you lost a lot of points there, kid. I thought you was like this. Hello, Brian Simmons. Hello to you. Happy Friday to you. Chris is saying, that's my friend. That's my friend. And of course, Brian says all the megapixels. Pickles. And he will exit stage left. Gary, I'm just disappointed right now. Everybody knows that grits is a savory dish. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know where y'all get this sugar thing from.
I don't know. I feel like somebody's Nana ran out of grits and then she ran to the store at the last minute, right? And then she got back. She was in such a hurry to make the grits that she put sugar in instead of salt. But then she had to just like, oh, I did it on purpose. And then the rumor just spread. Yeah.
Now I admit, as a kid, I did do sugar on my rice. I will admit that. It was, but I don't do it now. But I did it as a kid.
Okay.
Are you
Maybe that was the only
that?
way you would. No.
I mean, like if you had, your sugar and rice, the little sweet cornbread, like, no, nobody else did that.
First of all, cornbread is disgusting. That's first. Oh! Second of all, rice with sugar.
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yes. That's what. Yeah. Maybe I'm too country. What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I can't believe. Okay. He said, I am country and was raised on that. Gee, we got to talk about it because now, hey, I understand sugar on rice with like, a sweet cornbread, and I love a good cornbread. Cornbread is beautiful. Thank you. So before we go down this food path, because we're gonna clearly lose the crowd here.
Yeah.
Tell me about Rex. That's what I want to know about. People want to know. Tell me about Rex.
I'm just a regular ass motherfucker. No, I'm just playing.
Those are lies.
What can I say? Well, what do you want to know? I'm a writer, I'm a photographer, I'm an English professor, I'm a father, a friend. The same things most people are. Like, right?
No. Here's the deal. And here's what I love. Here's what I love about people who are, I'm going to say, modest about their gift.
Oh.
And I'm going to say it. And as I say it, hold on, because I need the people to understand when I say modest about their gift, I need you guys to look at this work. I need you to look at it. Now, I'm a photographer and I don't get jelly. I'm not jealous, but I'm like, damn. I mean, this is beautiful work. The way that you tell the stories of the persons in front of your camera. You can't just tell me that you were just, I'm an English professor. Come on now, look at this.
I am.
Look at this. Look at this creativity. All of this beautifulness on the screen. Like, I'm sitting here. The first time I saw some of your work, I shouldn't say was, I was in awe. I'm still in awe. There is just no way that you can tell me this is what you call regular. This is not regular.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
This is, and I know my mom's in here, but I'm gonna keep it on the low, mama. It's some top tier shit. Now, you can tell me this is regular. There is no way that you just, I'm just an English professor and a father. Look at this. Oh my, look at it. Look at all of that. Right.
See, self-portrait.
Oh my God. You can't tell me that's not top tier right there. You can't tell
me. Yeah, it's top tier shit. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna hold you on that, but I'm just saying it's regular for me. I guess regular is relative.
Regular is relative. Relative. And I was saying this earlier, and I do believe it. We all have a gift.
Yeah.
And your gift, man, like mad applause. And I mean that sincerely. This is not just a Gwendolyn is trying to get in my good graces and whatnot.
No.
So that's not that. You are clearly blessed.
Thank
so
you.
when I saw it, I was like, he has to come on the show. And, I was like, oh my God, he's giving me his time.
Oh, no. I was actually glad. Listen, but when we had our chat the other week, I walked away thinking, oh, okay, look, she's fun. Like, I could do this. You know what I mean? Like, regularly. Like, I had a really good time and we had a great conversation, and that doesn't happen often. I don't enjoy people in that way. So
first of all, I'm a Virgo, so you should already know that you are graced with the presence of a Virgo.
Yeah.
It's about to go down. It's about to go down. Come on now.
Yeah. You know, Libras and Virgos get on pretty good, I think.
We do.
Yeah.
We have this like meshing thing. We have this meshing thing that just sort of like clicks.
Yeah.
Close.
I agree.
Next time. So it kind of works. It kind of works. Mm-hmm. But here's what I want to know, because we're here about your photography, and I want to have this free flowing conversation. Truly. Okay. Because we were talking about one of the titles. I'm going to call it a title. One of the titles that you talk about is being a body advocate. Mm-hmm. And your photography is clearly a way that you share that message.
Right.
Now, if you, and I feel like you are a free spirit, would you share how you got to this place?
So I got to this place by feeling trapped by the limitations imposed on me just generally, right, as a person. And I've noticed that there, as I was coming along and I was getting more engaged with social media, and I was like, there's not a lot of images. Like, you see all these really top tier images, the really nice work of these different models and brands. And I mean, even currently, right? Like, there's a thing going around about how people who are like plus size don't have adequate representation in fashion or in movies or in stories or in books and all that sort of thing. And so the more I became aware of it and the more I became interested in it, and I started to study it and I started to think more about it. And so I started by really just doing images of myself, like doing self-portraits, to say, okay, not only do I deserve to be seen, but I deserve to be able to be seen in ways that reflect the same sort of quality that they afford other bodies, right? And so in order to tell that story, I think, and it took me some time, I really had to work on getting good at being able to tell that story, because, you don't come out the gate producing great images. It's kind of like, it was real shady, real sketchy, real suspicious boots when I first started with the camera.
Do you still have those images? Do you still have them?
Yeah, they're tucked away somewhere.
What?
Yes, everybody. Listen, all of them are very, very, very heavily retouched. They've been touched by Angel several times.
Are you a cartoon character?
Yes, I was given like African anime. All the skin is super smooth. The eyes are super wide. Like, it's terrible.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me just stop right there, because I have to admit, well, I want to say people are aware, but maybe they're not. I have a lot of self-portraits. A lot.
Really?
Self-portraits. A lot. At least I want to say I do between 4 and 5 self-portraits a year.
Oh, wow.
Just because, like, I'm cute. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay. I give you that. I can admit
so
to
we
that.
We are going to represent all the time. And, like, people ask for an image, it is, possibly like you. It's one of my self-portraits. Like, we don't do selfies very often.
Yeah.
At all.
Right.
I don't like the camera. I don't like the angle on it.
I do selfies for my story, like something that's gonna be on my account like 24 hours. But if I'm gonna post it to like my main feed, it's gonna stay there. It cannot. I don't think I've I haven't posted a selfie in a really, really long time. Like, I was
Mm.
very awkward in the front of the camera when I first started like taking photos. I was so like embarrassed and shy and body conscious and all the things. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, and let me pose this question to the crowd as well as we get into some of these comments here.
Baby, these people in this rice sugar,
First of all, now look, I'm saying real quick, that's my mama.
it's
Be
a
careful now.
travesty.
Red light. Don't come for my mama now. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Mama loves sugar on her rice. I got it from someplace, all right?
Okay.
Because Pops did not do sugar on rice. She will tell you that was not his thing. That was mother's thing. So
Yeah.
So we picked it up as a kid, but you know. But
Listen, I am an equal opportunity rice preparation enjoyer. I just won't partake.
Okay, good evening to Cass. She says, good evening, educator and creator. Art is in the eye of the beholder, and you definitely have beautiful vision through art. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
This is the time for everybody truly to give people their flowers. There are so many creative artists out here. And like I said, I am all for sharing the platform and uplifting other people who are, and I'm going to say this too, changing the narrative. And like I said, I have some questions in here. I want to stick on the body advocacy though, because I'm not
okay.
I was thin. I had my dad's body, unfortunately, when I was growing up. Not my mother's, who was like a figure 8. So
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have that in high school. I'm a very late bloomer.
Okay. Okay.
Late. So for me, and tell me if you had the same thing. Like you mentioned how you were awkward in front of the camera.
Yeah.
When I started doing my self-portraits, it was part of a process of discovering who I was, defining beauty for myself, and saying, no, Gwendolyn, you're attractive. Like people need to see your beauty. Did that go through your head as well?
No.
He said, no.
No, I didn't think that. But you know what I was really thinking is I think I was going through something when I first started doing the photos of myself. Like I was really trying to figure out how to fully show up as myself, both personally and publicly. And so like when I first started, I really was only doing like, what do you call it? Headshot style, like top 3/4, because I was just like, I don't want people to see me and blah, blah, blah. But it was, I think maybe after like 3 or 4 months, I just kind of like shed that, and I just went, and it's like it was no looking back. Like now I'm just a fucking monster. Like it's ridiculous. Like like no, I want to be seen like this. No, I want to show me like this. You know what I'm saying? And I still have some reservations here and there, but like for the most part, I think that I have overcome a lot of that, and I think that's part of my message, right? Because you being a large person, right? When you come of age in this sort of like the way the society is constructed currently, you're constantly receiving messages about what your body should and shouldn't be, and large is one of those things. And so you have to kind of unlearn all of that as an adult. And so I really feel like my part or my contribution to the advocacy conversation is putting out imagery that allows people to recognize that there is a beauty for everyone and in everyone to some degree. Some of us more than others. Some of us are just challenged in ways that can't be reconfigured by megapixels, but we still love us the same, right?
Wait a minute. I was like, wait, what did he just say?
Yeah. You know, that's like they say, it's in the eye of the beholder. So I think that I behold some things that are more challenging than others. However, everybody is worth it, right? And so I think a lot of my work is centered around promoting the idea that there's an element of beauty in everybody, right? And so you have to really like look for that and figure out how to highlight that in ways that kind of demonstrate not only do you deserve to be seen, but you deserve all the resources, all the attention to detail, all the wardrobing, all the lighting, all the, that sort of center of attention moment that you get by being in front of the camera for like for a portrait session. And I think it's a way of telling that story. I think a lot of people don't really think about the connection between portraits and storytelling and like writing, and it's all a way of expressing a message, right? When you write a story, so if you tell a story about yourself or you wrote an autobiography, right, and you start to tell people, okay, this is how I feel and this is what I experienced and this is what my journey was like. A portrait does that same work. It just does it visually, and because it's a still image, you can go back to that image again and again and really walk away with something different. You may notice the eyes one time, you may notice the clothes, you may notice the posture, you may notice how they're being presented, the color story, the lighting. All of it is a way of sending signals and messages about the emotion or the story that you're trying to convey with the image.
So tell me this, because I'm sitting here and I'm channeling all the ideas and thoughts. When you work with your clients, and you've been in photography, how long again?
This is going into my 3rd or 4th year.
Because this is like normal stuff. Like this is just normal. This
Yeah.
3 years in.
Yeah. 3 years. Yeah.
3 years in. In that coffee table book, I'll take the estimated date right now, if you will, please, sir.
Oh, well, we're gonna shoot for 2025.
Okay. 2025. Okay, because clearly we're creating something special that needs to be like put out there. But when you're working with your clients, right, your subjects, is it you who is deciding what story should be told, or is it like a meeting in the middle?
It's me. And I'm gonna say, and here's why I say that. I do have clients that approach me with ideas, and they like, oh, I wanna do a shoot that's like this, right? Whatever idea they bring me never makes it out of my processing without some edge or some sort of interpretation from me, right? So even if they choose their wardrobe, right, the way that I shoot, the angle, the color processing, or the light, like in some kind of way, it's gonna look like when you look at my images, you can tell I did it. And so that kind of consistent message only happens when that person is in control of the narrative. Like, it just is what it is.
I agree with that. So I'm never gonna see like a white button-down shirt and blue jeans.
No, not unless you get in a DeLorean. Not from me anyway.
That's the only way that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
we have Danny saying that she loves that message.
Thank you.
Brian was also sharing that that's very true. And Black Eighth Element is in the building. Aren't you a Libra? Aren't you a Libra, Black Eighth Element? Isn't that who you are? I need to make, now I should know, but don't judge me right now, right? Because sometimes I have moments. Gwendolyn has moments. I'm just gonna go ahead.
Me too. Daily.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So I want to go into, since you're talking about the story that you're creating, do you go out and search for faces? Or people,
I used to.
People come to you with a story, but you're like, yeah, not so much.
Well, I've been teaching for a long time. Let me start there. And so people do come with stories or messages or, ideas. I'm really good at redirection. And
you have the gracious way of saying not gonna happen.
Yeah, right. I was like, oh, that'll be fun. We can try this. So I always oblige 3 or 4 frames of exactly what you wanted. Okay, well, let's try this for creativity's sake. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But for the most part, I used to look for a long time. I was just taking pictures of me and Brian. I'm sure poor Brian, child. Brian never signed up to be a model, but nonetheless, between Brian
what happens when you marry a photographer, though?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't a photographer when he married me.
He's like, look, I need a subject.
Yeah. you know. And then Chris, I always have to give props to Chris because my toddler photography training wheels all came from Chris. Chris built my first lighting kit. He taught me how to use strobe photography. Because of Chris, I learned to use strobe before I learned how to take photos with just natural light. Like, it was like I went the opposite way around just because that's the way that I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. That's the way he taught it to me.
Shout out to Chris for hooking up Rex to do. I mean, this is, people have an impact.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody. So when you're out there getting some prize for this book, you're gonna be like, and I want to thank Chris.
Yeah, I'm always gonna thank Chris.
Who built my first lighting setup. And
yes. At a store I'd never heard of. Like, I'm just like, going what.com, girl? What is that? Like, what is that? And he was real patient, and I'm sure I got on his nerves and all the things. But what can I say? And so I really think about. I actually thought about this the other day. If a lot of when I go back and look at like the work and a lot of the work that I see that I've done so far, every photo that I've published is some portion of something or story that I've been trying to tell for years. Like, even if it's okay to be this skin tone, it's okay to be this tall, it's okay to be this skinny, like it's okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many like different rules about what you can and can't be. Like, I don't know. I just really want to kind of unwind some of that.
That's okay. Well, first of all, you have some fellow Libras.
Yes, Libras.
You have some fellow Libras in the room. I see that Black 8 element. He's my brother. God bless him. But we get along fairly well.
See,
unfortunately. No, it is fortunate. I love all my siblings. We actually get along extremely well, all of us. But I don't believe I'd ever thought about how the images I created share a story unconsciously. I do remember when I was going through my depression, there was a period of being depressed. I created a series of photos where I was in the background. I was a silhouette. Like, you had to work really hard to see my face. And if I look back at it now, I remember not wanting to be seen because I was just not in a good place and just wanting to sort of blend into the background. And it's dark. It's a silhouette. Like, you can see the light around me, but you really couldn't make out. So much so that when I finally joined Facebook, I didn't use my first name. I used my middle name. And it was my mama who said, Renee Houston. Is she kin to us? She might be kin to us. It's your child. You couldn't see my face, so you couldn't tell who I was.
Right.
But when I look back, I'm thinking, you know what? That period, it was dark for me. It was not a good time of my life. Beautiful photos though. Like these.
Right. Absolutely. Listen, I really believe that your art is always some sort of representation of where you are in your journey. Like, no matter how you interpret it or channel it and the way that it comes out, you may express it in a way that's only intelligible to you, but I just know that in some way, right, it has some sort of significance that's connected to where you are.
So I wanna take a turn because as you know, Gwendolyn has turns.
I love turns.
The advocacy part, right, and changing the narrative. So I know for myself, I remember when I cut off my hair, I started something called the Hair Chronicles. I didn't realize how much work had to be done mentally, not only for who is in my circle, but like the outside world. When I cut my hair off, and I cut my hair off before it became sort of like really popular. It was early 20s, early 2000s, pardon me, because we're talking 2001. But people were doing the whole, are you gay? Are you straight?
Oh, based on your haircut?
Oh, okay. So picture it. I'm in New York City. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just work with me. So I'm in New York City. I thought when I cut my hair off, I would have an afro like Foxy Brown. I just
Okay.
knew that I was gonna be like Pam Grier, like doing the whole, like I just knew it. I was like, I'm gonna get there, right?
Wasn't it a
And
wig, girl?
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
Okay.
I got my dad's hair, and it's
Okay.
so curly, it coils inside itself. So when you
Okay.
shave it, it's like
Okay.
chia, it just blows up on the floor.
Okay.
So my barber in New York, straight New York stuff, ended up in jail one weekend, and I need a haircut. And I went looking, and I went into this place and I asked, I said, you can cut a woman's hair? And he's like, yeah, sure. That first where he cut it all off, it's done. So I cried.
Oh.
I cried on the way home, back to my little apartment on the subway. And I almost called out from work because I thought, I can't go in being like, an almost bald chick. But I got up, went to work, and people kept staring at me. And I thought, everybody knows that I'm like this bald chick and this is like the awful thing. And this guy stopped me and said, you are amazingly beautiful. And I was like, you talking this one?
Yeah.
I know. And so it started that. But that's New York City, where we kind of all do what we do.
Right.
You come back to Texas, Tejas,
Oh God.
and you get the traditional toxic masculinity. I may be attracted to you, but I gotta know, are you on the same page as me, kind of thing? Yeah, question quite often.
Yeah.
Quite
Wow.
often.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, are you into guys? Are you into girls? Or, I mean, people will say some really ignorant stuff, which brings me to this conversation of when people say stuff. Like this one guy said, well, you're cute for a chick with short hair. I'm sorry, what? Like,
what?
Like, what?
What the qualification at the end is like, what?
Yes. So it got me thinking, when we talk about different topics in our private circles, is that where the change needs to happen? Does it start there? Because people say stuff out in public and it can be, it's a performance. But when they get into the private circles, the things you still say there, isn't that possibly where we need to start changing how we see the world?
Absolutely. And I think, but at the same time, I agree with that is final answer, right? But to follow up with that, I also believe that it's everything feeds everything, right? So the conversations that make it back to your private circles are the conversations that are happening publicly, right? It's just that how you really feel about it is exposed in your private circles. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like if the messaging, if there's consistent, because like think about anything that is different now than it used to be, right? It happens because of a consistent public message. And when people hear a message long enough, they either take it as fact, even if they disagree, or they recognize that there's some sort of social penalty for not accepting, adhering, acknowledging. And so I just really think that it's all compounded, like, because people are people everywhere, public and privately. And so who you are privately is only suppressed publicly. You don't really change, right? So once you receive messages outside of the house, you take those messages back in the house. You have the conversations in private with your private circle. But most importantly, those closest to you often hear those messages that you have in your private circle because they have the most access to you and they hear what you really believe most often. If that makes sense.
It does. I mean, clearly, as we mentioned, we all feel some kind of way. And I think about John Gruden, God bless him.
Mhm.
You know, somebody clearly hated him because they leaked all of his private messages out. Clearly hated him.
Right,
They was
right.
like, oh, is this what we're doing? Let me go
Mhm.
share all of this stuff and tell the world how you really feel about Black athletes and people in charge. So we understand that does exist. We get that.
Yeah.
My thought, though, if we're looking for real change,
Mhm.
changing the narrative, your
Mhm.
images is definitely a way to start. Like the images that we see. I thought to myself the other day, I watched a commercial, and it was for lingerie, and there were women of all sizes.
Mhm.
These were not Victoria's Secret models that we were dealing with here. These were women of all sizes in a bra and panties. I was like,
Okay.
what? We're doing that now? Like we're
Right.
seeing more of that now because we've never. I mean, beforehand, if you were not a Victoria's Secret model, if you were not that person, you were not. They don't want
Right.
to see me,
Yeah.
right? Like they don't want to see that body type,
Ever.
ever.
Right.
We are seeing more interracial couples. We are seeing more of that. And I don't even know if it's truly accepted. Kind of like you said,
No.
like if you show it enough, people get kind of okay with it.
Right. Right.
There is, and I admit I am that person. I look at all the commercials for all the subtle messages.
Me
Every
too.
single one.
Yeah. They go through a complete analysis every time.
Right?
When I see
Because
them.
I appreciate that you have the Caucasian husband and the Black mother, but you got these multi sort of ambiguous child who could pass with
Well,
the
the woman is
hair.
racially ambiguous, let alone the
Yeah.
child.
It's like you guys have heard of Halle Berry, right? You wouldn't know that she
Right.
has a white mother. So
Right.
perhaps we could move towards that
Yeah, because even
storyline
when
than just
when you see it, it's still people who are bringing some of the acceptability bells, right? So it's not just like, oh, let's show an interracial couple. They're still going to be able-bodied. They're still going to be have a reasonable height weight distribution. They're still going to have some elements of Euro traditional beauty. Like it's always the acceptable person that gets slotted in for the diversity and inclusion efforts.
yes, always. Now there was a commercial. It's an NFL. I think it's an NFL Fanatics commercial. It's one of those, but I remember, and they do it. It's panned kind of fast, right?
Yeah.
There is, I want to say, a young lady who had vitiligo, and then there was another person who was in a wheelchair, and then there was one other person, but they, I think they were an amputee.
Okay.
But it panned so quickly. It's like, why don't we take a little time to so you have to really catch it to catch it, right? But they were showing people who were not all able-bodied, but it's not like they got like prime time, except for the girl.
No, right, exactly.
The skin condition.
Agreed.
They gave her a little bit more airtime, but people are, I'm gonna say, attempting to make it, because people want to see themselves. People
of course.
need to see themselves.
Yeah.
And when we talk about, let's say, The Little Mermaid and the kerfuffle
Yeah, oh my God.
that came from an imaginary character being cast as Black.
Right.
It's like, she can't be Black. She's a mermaid, people.
Yeah.
She's a mermaid.
A mermaid.
She's not even real.
Yeah.
I get what the cartoon was. I get it. But she's a mermaid.
So you can stretch your imagination to include a mythical mermaid, but not that she could be Black too.
That she can't be Black. She can be a mermaid. She can't be a Black mermaid though, because that's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Too much. But okay, so we know that we are still working.
Right.
There's so much work to be done to make these images and these stories seen and heard. Because it's not just, I am seeing more images of folks with freckles, and they're not washing out the freckles. I know that sounds very simple, people, but there are a lot of folks who have freckles who like their freckles get washed out, like they get removed.
Yeah, and for the record, it's harder to keep freckles in the
It
retouching
is. I know.
scenario than it is to.
I had a young, he had the most beautiful freckles, but you have to work hard in the editing to not lose them. So I do admit,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
also that they also purposely
yeah, because
rid
it's
of all those kinds of things and what have you. So we know that that's there as well. So I want to go back to like those private conversations because again,
yeah.
somebody hates John Gruden. What can I tell you? And they do. When we're having these chats with our loved ones, how much is it on us to start saying, hey, cousin, what you're saying really isn't cool. Like what you're saying is sexist, it's racist, is like how much of that is on us?
Okay, so that's the question. Okay, so I guess maybe I didn't
No.
necessarily
You
catch
answered the
that.
first one. You answered
Oh,
the first
okay.
one. It's a two-part. I'm gonna kick up some dust. Like I'm gonna
Okay.
there.
I think a great deal of the responsibility is on us, to be honest, right? Because we are the only people who can hold our close acquaintances, friends, family members accountable for the mischief that they create in private. I think it's very important because, and here's why it's so important. It's so important because although the consistent messaging around inclusivity has, been attributed to the phrase representation matters. And don't get me wrong, representation absolutely matters, but so does actuation. Representation is a first step, right? It's saying these people exist and they're okay, right? But after that, what happens after that? Because you have to have some sort of effort, some sort of work, some sort of actual tangible effort and outcome, right? After the people have been represented. And so and that's where the accountability at home comes in, right? Because once you get these new bodies, these new faces, these recently acceptable people into these situations, they have to still be in, connection with people who don't necessarily see their value because they haven't been told that it was okay yet. And so it's at home that we can provide the sort of messages that say, okay, that is normal, right? Or these people are just like you, or, it shouldn't be some sort of anomalous situation. Like, it's humanity. The problem is, as a culture, we have consistently denied humanity to those we deem unfit.
Ooh.
And that's really the issue.
Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Okay. I should have brought my tequila if that was the case.
I'm just saying. I mean, I didn't plan to be heavy or nothing. I was gonna keep it cute. I'm just saying.
we need the heavy conversations.
Yeah.
We need it. We need it so badly. I mean, I was chatting with someone about how I saw a commercial, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too. There is a shaving commercial that says, we use this to shave our pubic hair. I said, what the going on out here? What? Are we using it? I can't even.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. It's about time because I'm just saying. I remember, and Mama, I love you dearly, and I know we're from two different gens, but I remember because I was that kid. The first time I told my dad I was on my menstrual cycle, Mother was like, "We don't say stuff like that," because I was that kid. They made it seem as if a young lady getting her menstrual cycle, she was ill. She is sick.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I have friends that still say that.
Really?
I'm a little under the weather this week, girl. You under the weather the same week every month.
Every month, right?
Right.
Month. But so we were taught, depending on how old you are, that there are just something that you have to hide these very natural occurrences.
Right.
And so you wear this unknowing shame around what happens to you naturally every 28 or 30 something days.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, it's those subtle messages that last for a while. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I only did it once. I never did it again. But I was,
Right.
because I was like, hey, we just had sex. I'm like, Pops, I'm on my menstrual cycle. I was
He
like,
was
no,
like,
we
lovely.
do
Thank
not.
you.
We do not say those things around your
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
I was like, I always tested the waters. But we need to have these heavy conversations. They need to be had, because we're like, we feel as if we have come a long way. It has not been that long for a lot of us.
It hasn't.
Since we were, not using a different water fountain, and the way this world is turning, we about to turn right back if you let some people get in order.
Well, they may attempt it, but I feel like they may have a different outcome this time. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. But it was what you were saying about the cycle. It really made me think about like the messaging that I got when I was maybe like 8. And I remember being forcibly enrolled in football. And I hate football currently. Like, I feel like that situation kind of ruined that for me as a thing in general. Just because it was like, I think there was 2 things going on. There was one ideology operating that football would have some sort of forcible masculinization effect on me. That's one. And 2, that it would curb the fact that my body wasn't okay. Like, I needed to be slimmer, more active. And I do understand the necessity of like being physically fit and being comfortable in your body and that sort of thing. But some of us are just going to be fluffier, for lack of a better word, in areas than others. Like, that's just the tea behind it. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like I don't think parents recognize that the subterfuge that they try to enact on their kids is not wholly lost on them.
Before we continue, let me get into some of these comments.
Okay.
As Danny is saying here, they get kind of okay with it in public, and then probably talk about, this is about the interracial couples.
Yeah.
We are seeing the interracial and same-sex couples as well.
Yeah.
We're seeing it again. I'm with Danny. We know it.
But let me just go ahead and tell Danny that the gag is, we don't really need you to be okay, sweetheart. Like, not you personally. I'm talking about the public in general. I wasn't looking for that from any of you people. So whoever may be watching, ain't nobody checking for you or that. Just saying.
He said, I don't need you to.
Yeah.
Yes. There, Cass says it should be talked about privately and also publicly, as long as it is respectful and with mature individuals that can handle the conversation. Ooh, okay. All right. So I don't
know if you can be respectful with some people. Some people don't understand anything except for like aggressive behavior. You don't have to be physical, but I'm just saying the conversation in general. Also, if you're disagreeing with somebody, I think it's going to come across disrespectfully no matter what you say, unless you please understand that I disagree with you. If that's the case, I ain't ever had a respectful conversation.
No. I'm gonna start. I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that because I have another thought there about something else, and it may or may not be a link to, but we will see.
Okay.
She says diversity is about respecting differences, even if you disagree. Yes, Amparo. Shout out to Amparo.
Absolutely.
For showing up today. Shout out to you. Danny says preach it, because obviously you've been dropping some amazing gems today. Cass also says, also depends on preference of individuals. Give a person a choice to discuss publicly or privately. Ask them just a thought. I will say this. When I talk to people, I always say, if I may.
If I may.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If they say no, then fine. If they say yes, I can't always tell you that where I'm going is not going to I'm going to give you a small, cut in your arm, so I'm just cut your throat. It depends on the person. But
Yeah.
I pretty much filled them out first before I decided to go there.
Well, I got to be invested in you as a person and be giving you that sort of energy anyway.
Yeah.
So
because
I would probably want to, you know what I mean? Like I would probably care about how it comes, how you receive it to some degree.
Yeah.
Because I even consider having a conversation with you. If we are on the level, like you can't even get that from me. So
I'm not even concerned.
Yeah. Right.
Black Eighth Elvis says, it's human nature. There always has to be a hierarchy. Somehow we always end up there. Even in the beautiful utopia of Star Trek, there is still a captain. There is still like a board above him. There's always, like you said, some sort of hierarchy there. And I would love to know, I'm thinking for myself, how are we supposed to get to a Star Trek-like society? I'm just really, like, my mind goes some really weird places because there's no money.
Yeah.
There's no money for anything. It's just, but everybody's working and doing stuff and living a sort of like happy life. But how do we even get to that point? Because these folks are hoarding money and cash and things. And
I have a couple of really out of left field questions about Star Trek, but we can come back to that.
We have to come back. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So next week is the beginning of Women's History Month.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple of topics a lot of it does center around women's health and how these lousy bastards out of here are trying to like take everything away from women and have no clue as to what we deal with on just the daily basis.
Right.
The daily basis.
Yeah.
As we mentioned this morning on Ron's show, it's not just about abortion, people. Like that ain't it. There are so many things that happen here, all over here, that, I do recall one of my self-portraits was a picture of my biopsy scar on my left breast. I just posted a picture of the scar in the little side portrait. The number of women who spoke to me in private messages around breast cancer and feeling like their being a woman was attacked. Like, so all self-portraits don't have to be just like our face. It could be body, but also telemetry.
Sometimes it's more powerful.
I was actually very surprised the number of people who spoke about it, and having this haircut, the number of women who are warriors, survivors of breast cancer. I often get the, are you a survivor as well? And I was like, no, I purposely cut my hair short. Because
I could see that, but also like the entitlement of the line of questioning is kind of troublesome. Like, and if I was, after I gave you that information, where do we go from here?
I took it. Okay, so here's how we're all over. This is all part of the imagery, right?
Right.
You often see images of women who have survived or have gone through some sort of breast cancer or mastectomy, right? You see them with the breast removed. You see them with no hair, because in my opinion, hair is a shield. It's a blanket. We attach a lot of our self-worth to hair.
Yeah.
Men and women. Hey, it is what it is. So when you cut it off, as a woman, speaking from, when you cut it off, you feel as if you were no longer as feminine as you were before.
Really?
I mean, there are people who thought I was butchy. Okay. I'm not butchy.
I don't get that energy from you, but okay.
I would think I'd be more femme than butch.
Yeah. Definitely. If that were the case, it would be definitely giving lipstick.
I am not on the butchy side. I'm on the femme side. Right. Yeah, but it was that question. And so the women I've met quite a few. It was more of some sort of, we're part of the same tribe and going through the same struggle. So it was like a connection of, are you also a survivor? It's like, I am not. I just believe that being barely balls is like a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I know lots of ladies. I did hair for years. I know lots of ladies that yeah.
But surely you have seen it when you've told somebody your hair is so damaged, I gotta cut it, that you may have tears and the whole.
Oh yeah. Yes.
It's a blanket. It's a shield.
Yes. And it's always very tricky when you have to tell a client that those last 3-4 inches are all imagination. Like it's like, how do you say that without
Like, baby girl, we gotta
like
cut this. We gotta cut this.
yeah, like your hair, it really is collar length. Like everything else is just like, holding on to trauma.
It's like, personally, there are some women, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Long hair does not fit your face shape. Like, cut it off. Just, but we know that society
my mama
loves
used to
long
always
hair.
say that when you get to, like, she always believed that when you were a certain age, like long hair just didn't look as attractive on you as it did when you were younger. I never understood the thought process behind that, but I noticed that like women as they age, they tend to wear their hair shorter unless they're adult models.
Man, that hair, it can drag the face down. It literally drags the face down.
Yeah.
Cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can hardly tell. People are artificially suspending gravity, but them organs know how old they are. Believe it.
It's like,
Yeah.
The organs know how old they are. I like how Cass says, no good to force anyone. Not good to force anyone, but good to encourage them to try. And if they do not like it the first time, fall back and see what is their real interest.
Yeah.
Here's the deal with conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because people think if I don't say anything, then I'm not picking either side. But sometimes silence gives people
inaction is still a choice. Yeah, inaction is still a choice.
It's still a choice. It is a choice. Yeah. So like when you see stuff happening and you're like, I'm not going to say anything, then people are like, well, she agreed because she didn't say anything.
Yeah. Silence is often read as agreement.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Because an objection would be like, you'd have to actively object. Like
you have to actively object.
Yeah.
And I admit, I don't go to people and sort of hit them over the head with, you must agree with me, but I will share. There was a chat, and I think I told you about this, on age. Mm-hmm. And people were making it seem as if, someone who is 90 doing XYZ is so bizarre. It's like, but why is it bizarre? When there is no age attached to activities. I get that we have told people that by the age of 20, you should be doing this, and the age of so-and-so, you should be doing this. But who made these guidelines?
I think a lot of that is just attached to like the remnants of life expectancy. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I think our quality of life has extended our ability to exist in ways for a lot longer than we used to be able to, because, we were doing like manual labor, but the dynamic of our economics has shifted to where we aren't doing the sort of physical labor that we used to do. So we live longer. We have more energy when we're older. We can do more things than we used to do before. And I think that has kind of trailed over to, by this age you should be doing this, and by that's sort of the expectation or whatever. But I do want to go back to something that you said, like you said that you don't want to force people to agree. I think that's such a good point, because if more people would understand that agreement is simply not necessary, like it's so unnecessary. Your agreement was never a requirement. Like, this is, even if this is just for informational purposes, if that's all you can take from this is I'm sharing this information with you, I'm identifying my particular position for you about whatever the topic is at hand, then that's enough. I agree. Your agreement was not on the prerequisites. It just wasn't.
Do you think, and I just realized what time it is, do you think that we have this sort of, and I'm going to go back to this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed approach to communication and conversation, that we have this, we should all be locked in arms and happy-go-lucky when we have a conversation, i.e. we should all agree. It's like, but ideally, no, you don't, that's not really. Not necessary.
If we're all coming from a place of mutual respect, agreement is never necessary.
I love that. That should go on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt, people.
Yeah.
Put it on a t-shirt. Kat says silence is like body language. True silence can be saying something without words. Some say silence is golden in some situations, not all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn it. That's a lie. I'm not trying anything. That's not
Yeah.
even good.
I mean, I agree that idea is cute, like, and it works for a lot of people. It just don't work for me.
Yeah.
But we can't all be a certain way. Like, it takes some people who have the ability to shut the hell up sometimes, like, and then it takes loud mouths like me sometimes. Like, it just depends.
You know,
it takes all kinds.
It does take all kinds. I mean, my mother was just mentioning the other day, as a matter of fact, she's like, I remember all of the kerfuffle. I love that word, kerfuffle. I love kerfuffle and accusatory. But she says, I remember all the trouble you had your last year in high school. And, you know, I was the straight and narrow kid. So like, of all the people to have issues, shouldn't have been this one. Just
right.
Should not have been. But I don't want to call it a difficulty. No, I don't know how not to call something out when something's not right. It's
That's like, good though.
Gwendolyn's not going to be quiet. That is not how I was born. And although my mother is a retired minister, she used to get into some things back in the day. So I get it honestly. Mother can she knows who she raised. We're not even going to pretend that. So tell me this before we end this beautiful conversation.
Okay.
Before we end it, what words of wisdom would you give to our audience for them to show up for themselves in imagery or any other type of media or in their own spaces? What would you say? What would you say?
You know, I always think of this one thing that I think is worth sharing. My goal is always to show up in ways that I wish for when I was a young person, right? I always want to see or be the thing that I needed when I was young. And so, like, when I show up publicly now, this version of me, which has taken quite a lot of work and it's still raggedy, you know, it's still ghetto over here, but like, I still would like, I hope that I can be some sort of example for someone who was like me as a child and didn't have access, or not even a child, a teen, right? Specifically a teen, because that's when it really mattered for me, right? That, you know, oh wait, there's somebody like me. Oh, and they're doing fine. Oh, and it did work out. And there is happiness and there is love on the other side, you know?
Oh, yeah, that I appreciate, and I do love the idea of it is for a teen. Although, I mean, I think about it, like, I know for me, I hit my little moment as a teen. You know, we're talking the 1990s, Kwame, polka dots and spandex.
Yeah.
My attempt to wear my sister's clothes, horrible attempt, because wasn't much filling it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Horrible attempt. So it was for me as a teenager is when I got it. And I think about these kids now, I can't help but think it starts even earlier with all the media, social media. All of
the teenagers is when they're actualizing, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue. Like, if there had been somebody out there to tell me that them MC Hammer pants was a bad idea,
oh,
like,
man,
it could have changed my life. You understand?
You know, we had a really cute gold pair and like this paisley top that went with, because, you know, Christmas gifts had to match back in the day.
Yeah.
It was cute.
No, it wasn't even cute for him.
You sure? Are you positive?
I'm positive.
Everybody had
I'm positive. You know how trends and styles have a resurgence. You notice them ain't came back. Like,
well, those jellies should not have come back either. The jelly sandals, they should not have come back. But somebody brought them back. I don't know
Is
if
it time
they
to tip
lasted
out?
long. I don't know if they lasted long, but they brought them back, so I don't know. I don't know. So yes, MC Hammer. Yeah, I don't, man. But as we close this up, one last comment here. All agreeing it's not ideal because we would all think the same and have same
Yeah.
perspectives. It would be a boring world. That's what I'm saying. There's a consensus, but we all don't all agree. Like, let's just go ahead and admit that. Like, that's I don't
Agreed.
think it's ever going to happen.
Yeah,
Except for some
absolutely.
really extreme things.
Mhm.
But other than that, I don't believe that's ever going to happen. So I will say this: how can folks follow you and contact you? And if the Lord allows, I meant it seriously. I need a 50th birthday session.
Okay.
Because like I do my own thing, so
Yeah.
mine is covered. But I wouldn't mind a Rex portrait of Gwendolyn, like something.
Oh, I would totally be down for that.
Like,
That would be
I don't have my wig
phenomenal.
on, but I wore a wig one day for April Fool's Day a few years back. Oh my God. I don't know how people do it. Like, it was the worst. The worst.
I ever had a wig. I'm gonna try it just to see.
Oh,
But there will be
they're
no
expensive.
photos.
And they're expensive. But
Oh.
but yes, how can we get in contact with you?
If you want to get in contact with me, I suppose you could follow me on Instagram at Rags and Pieces Mag. That's also my website, www.ragsandpieces.com. And that's it. Otherwise, you should be doing something else with your time.
Oh my God, I swear to Almighty in heaven. Seriously. Rex, I have to say, thank you. Thank you for giving us this time, having this conversation. Clearly the audience enjoyed your message. And I'm telling you guys, you gotta check out his art. Now, you are in the DC area, yeah?
I am in DC, yeah. And thank you for having me.
I'm in Arlington. I am willing to travel for a great photographer.
Listen, come through. I ain't going nowhere.
Me and my wig.
Okay, come on, wig.
Me and my wig. Me and my wig. And I'm oh God, I just hurt my head, Lord bless. I should have done it. But I will say this, just to shout you guys out. Rex is on a beautiful podcast called The Conference Call.
Yes.
You guys have got to tune in. I mistakenly played, because I like to catch up, like while I'm driving. I always had a car accident listening to them, specifically on the episode where you guys were sharing all your old pictures as a kid. Just ran off the road on I-45 North. But The Conference Call, I know. The show is amazing. They will have you in stitches.
Thank
you. They will have you in stitches. You can go to my YouTube channel. They are listed as one of the channels you should follow.
Yes.
So be sure to go there and check them out. Again, Rex, I could talk to you for hours because you're a leader.
I know.
This is what happens. This is what happens.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you for being here. Everybody says awesome show here. We want to thank you for giving us your time today.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna play our my outro music.
Okay.
Yes. Have a good weekend. Thank you for watching another episode of Guuuuurl Listen. Be sure to tune in every other Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we also invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.